Chancellor Macmillan, Board of Trustees, President Burke, faculty colleagues, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most particularly and specially, graduands who in a few moments will be graduates. Beloved people, all of you. Convocation speeches are decorative. Say a few nice things, be encouraging, don't get too carried away. The speech will be forgotten soon, so let's get on with giving out the degree parchments and with the celebration, the food and drink, with the words of congratulations, with the joyful sentiments, and with the lying promises to keep in touch with each other, meet for coffee, etc., etc. So get on with it, speaker. Speak up, then shut up and sit down so we can move on. Okay, I get that, but the ritual of the speech is part of the celebration. So here it is. In the 1954 stage production, The Rainmaker, there's a striking and profound moment when one lead character says to another, "You try so hard to be right that you never do anything good." This line indicates a trap by which many persons, some of them deeply religious, some not, are deceived and captured. Being right isn't always very important. Doing good in the world is. This is, I think, how Jesus of Nazareth operated. While it would have been right for him to observe the Sabbath and other rules strictly, he nevertheless did good by making people well and by providing for other human needs. This is to be of the earth and also to be of heaven. The problem with being right is that it actually is of the flesh, not of the spirit. Trying to be right, trying to be correct, to reach glory, is the work of the flesh. Spirituality, at least as some people seem to conceive of it, is a fleshly and quite unspiritual pursuit. This is because no one lives up to, indeed cannot live up to, standards of spirituality and correctness. We are all guilty. The gospel news is that God loves us anyway, saving us despite all the failing efforts at doing our part by being right. So, how can one do good in the world? As graduates of Booth University College, here are a few ideas, some theoretical, some practical. First, keep in mind that it is about doing good in the world, education for a better world, as the motto up there goes, and it is not about you personally. This is countercultural and anti-cultural because much daily Western ideology is shaped by the notion that one's personal desires and rights, self-indulgence, gratification, and self-gratification are central life principles. The problem with this is like the problem of trying to generate your own spirituality. It doesn't work. Doing good must always be outward-looking, aimed away from oneself toward the good of other people and the good of the entire created order. In a famous and wonderful book, which you should all read if you haven't, and read again if you have, the title of it is Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. The author, that's true, the author Robert M. Pirsig points out that any effort that has self-gratification as its final endpoint is bound to end in disaster. When you try to climb a mountain to prove how big you are, you almost never make it. And even if you do, it's a hollow victory. In order to sustain the victory, you have to prove yourself again and again in some other way, and again, and again, and again, driven forever to fill a false image, haunted by the fear that the image is not true and that someone will find out. Setting yourself at the center of your own universe is a mug's game. It's arrogant and self-deluded. When you think you know exactly who you are and what you want for yourself, you have missed the point of life, of doing good in the world. Or, as the great rocker Bruce Springsteen has said, self-knowledge is a kind of funny thing because the less of it you have, the more you think you have. Scripture has actually been saying this all the time. Second, several years ago, when I was about 5 years old, an amazing thing happened. I began to learn to read. What a wondrous door opened. Whole worlds of thoughts, ideas, abilities, spaces, and actions began to come into view. You must be readers and therefore learners. Be scholars of whatever it is that you do. By this I mean that you must engage in the life of the mind. Although we see one another in our bodies, most of life is lived in the mind, in thinking. This is a God-given reality. Do not allow yourselves to settle in to what may be imagined to be among the very worst sins, boredom and its near cousin, stupidity. One aspect of reading is listening. Listen to the words when you read, and listen to other people when they speak. Give them time to speak. Read and listen slowly. It takes careful, slow-moving time. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You do need to be good at listening to people in the room so that you can learn and do good things for them and for the world. What this means is that you must be learners. Be a learner. Read, engage, encourage dialogue and thoughtful conversation. Don't focus on making decisions. Don't focus on the worn and misleading notion of excellence. Focus on engaging yourself in the ideas that bring about genuine learning. Do not allow yourself merely to recite the usual unthoughtful nonsense of popular traditions, that is, the popular ones you grew up with. Do not take a position just because it seems right, or because it seems to work, or because you've always done it that way. At best, all that is mere pragmatism, and at worst, it's dangerous because you will undoubtedly be in error about many things. And in any case, it's a cop-out for not doing the hard and tedious and exhausting work of study and analysis and application. Engage in the life of the mind. Keep on reading. Keep on expanding your mind, your purview of ideas. Your intellectual life is critically important. It feeds your emotions and trains you to grasp what is good. Third, your life and your work are not a performance. Your life and work are a discourse. What I mean is that life and work are an engagement in discussion. This relates directly to the educational process you have moved through at Booth UC. While aspects of performance are sometimes involved, life is not overall a performance that is played out for the sake of spectators or critics. Doing good in the world is to participate in the discourse. Out of the discourse comes an understanding of what we may refer to as a sense of calling. And one comes to a sense of calling after having worked at something for a while. I get a little distressed when I hear someone saying something like, "I know it's God's will that I'm here," or "It's God's will that I'm doing this," or "This is God's plan for me." I usually want to say something under my breath like, "Don't blame God for it." Knowing God's will about things is much more complex, much more. It takes practice and deep insight and does not come easily or without pain. Love is like that. People come to know love after a long time of working at it, not just by having romantic or erotic feelings. Entering and participating in the discourse, which could be spoken or written, sung, carved, or painted, sometimes other ways, is like creating something beautiful, like art, something crafted for good, for building people up, for the sake of doing good in the world. It is deeply intellectual, but at the same time, creative, craftsmanship, artisanship, and therefore productive. It is wisdom. So it is important to avoid becoming only a gadget, known more for ingenious technological features rather than for quality of thinking and behaving. Fourth, don't judge people based on what they don't do. Get that carefully the right way around. It means don't condemn people because they don't live up to your perceptions of doctrine or morality. They never do live up to your perceptions, particularly of morality. This is not their fault. It's yours. It's your fault because your perceptions of morality are probably incomplete and mistaken. You probably do not understand the other person or all of the moral issues involved. I'm quite strongly influenced by the claim of Canadian author Margaret Visser, who says that we do not live in a permissive society, it is an addicted one. Some people are addicted to moralizing. It is to be avoided. Consider those three friends of some ancient time and place. They were called Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. When their common friend Job came on hard times, they took it on themselves to moralize, to tell the honest Job that he must have done something wrong. For, as Eliphaz asked, who that was innocent ever perished? Or where were the upright cut off? They pressed on Job to confess his sins, his moral failings. Your life has gone wrong because you're a bad man, Job. It turns out that the three friends were judgmental without knowing that they themselves were not moral persons. Job was the moral person of the earth, sitting on the ash heap in excruciating pain. The self-declared holy friends were people who missed the point of life, coming from the comfortable suburban sidelines. The moral person is the one who is struggling, suffering, who doesn't quite understand why things are as they are, who recognizes that there are ambiguities and things don't particularly add up, that there are discrepancies in the Bible and in life, and there is only one place to go, to God, to complete reliance on the grace of God, even if it kills you, which it might do. There isn't anything else. This is to do good, to make the world a better place. Listen to good criticism and make good judgments, but don't be moved by merely emotionalized pressure, hatred, meanness, by the power politicking of moralizers. Don't hold things against people. As a very famous person said, with malice to none, with charity to all. Fifth, two things are fundamentally necessary for whatever task you take in hand or in mind to do. First, love, be passionate about your discipline. And second, love, be passionate about those people whom you serve or for whom you have some responsibility. As support, refer to the first and second great commandments. If you do not have such love and passion, get it, develop it. The getting and developing comes through hard work, primarily thinking and studying, grappling with ideas, talking with people, learning about them, understanding what they think. Learn so much about your work and the people that they become part of you. They become what you are. Note that this will also cause you pain. Pain not so much because of the hard work involved, though that might be pain enough. Pain because people will not always understand you. And sometimes, as in the case of your students and your children, they will leave for other locations and tasks and to be with other people, and they will not know how much you have loved them. But take the joy found in the observation of their growth and learning and maturation, and the joy you have in knowing them. The point is, always play your game forward, always. I suspect that few will recall the 1967 film called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? The character played by Sidney Poitier tells his father that his own task is not simply to do what his father wants, but to look the other direction and do something for his still future son, just as his father had done for him. This is the good way to play the game. Who is the greatest person? The one who is intentionally the least. The widow whom Jesus observed giving her 2 worthless coins. The person doing a good job in an obscure place with unknown people. The one who influences the lives of the little people for good things. The one who demonstrates in obscure places that the future has arrived. People who have no interest in money. Those who toil in places without fame and without adequate remuneration, who are not well known or influential outside their own small communities, but who nevertheless touch the people whom they encounter. There are not many of these people around, but they're the greatest. They are of the earth, even as they live out the life of heaven in the present time. This is to do good in the world. I have come to the end, possibly beyond my allotted minutes. How to conclude? Several things. Doing good will lead you to what is right. The good is the focus on learning, entering the discourse, reading, learning, loving what you do and for whom you do it. Do the good thing. Enter the life of the mind. This is the educational task we have as teachers, as Booth UC, as co-participants, as co-workers in the gospel and in life. The good can be seen in the learning, the discoursing, in loving, in always playing the game forward. This is education, our task for a better world. Use your metaphysical imagination. Figure things out. Learn. Continue to be educated. And do this also. Come and talk to me. Engage with me in the discourse. And when I say me, I mean me and my colleagues who have been your teachers now for some time, and many, many others who will like to be part of the discourse. Let's go for coffee or dinner. We would like to see you and hear your ideas. Let us learn together. You won't do it, of course, or very few of you will. You'll go off into your own lives, doing your own things, and that's okay. That's good. But remember the ideas. And remember that I and all my teaching colleagues, your professors, love you deeply. Have a wonderful day. See you later.